in the work that we do in our community. So Couples for Christ and its family ministries, it is also called CFC in short, but we are Couples for Christ. It is a Catholic movement intended for the renewal and strengthening of Christian family life, especially for individuals, for married couples, for families, and for the community. And a little bit of history about Couples for Christ. It has started in the Philippines in 1981 when about 16 married couples decided to get together and have the value formation in terms of their Christian life, the married vocation as a family as well. And throughout the years, it has grown worldwide and globally. And now, Couples for Christ and its family ministries is present in 111 countries, where New Zealand is one of them. And in New Zealand, it was established in 1994, and we look forward to celebrating our 25th anniversary in 2019. And now we are present in 6 dioceses in New Zealand, from Auckland down to Dunedin. There are about or more than 200 active members, including the youth or the family ministries members. CFC New Zealand, we are present from Dargaville to Invercargill and most cities in New Zealand. And Couples for Christ started with only couples, but now it has grown into family ministries, where we call the ministries from womb to tomb. The reason being is a womb to tomb is womb when we are conceived, when we are born. There's a CFC Kids for Christ. These are the children ages between 4 and 12 years old. And we have the junior kids and the senior kids, where they have their weekend camp, they have their activities, and also their formation. While their parents are having the activities, likewise for the kids, they also have their formation and teachings. And as they grow up, when they become teenagers, they will go to the CFC Youth for Christ. And the Youth for Christ, their formation program as well, which involves a weekend entry camp for YFC. This is a live-in entry camp for all of them. And as they now go into adulthood, when they now finish university and they will go to the workforce, it is now the Singles for Christ. By the way, for the Youth for Christ is ages 13 to 21 until they go to the workforce. When they go to the workforce, they will go to the Singles for Christ, and again, there are some formation teachings involved in this ministry. So, throughout the history of Couples for Christ in New Zealand, those kids who started 18 or 23 years ago as a kid, they became Youth for Christ, and now they are in Youth for or Singles for Christ. And for the adult, as they go, they still remain single at the age of 40. For the women, they go to the Handmaids of the Lord. And anyone who are widow, who are not married at the age of 41 and above, they will go to the Handmaids of the Lord. And the equivalent of that in the male of men is the Servants of the Lord, the widower or single adult who remains single at the age of 40, 41 and above. And also the servants of the Lord and handmaids of the Lord, if the spouse is not member of the community, they belong to that group. So, brothers and sisters, CFC Family Ministries is from a womb to tomb ministry. So whatever age, whatever level in the society that we have, whatever our marital status is, single blessedness, it is all there. So it's a from womb to tomb ministry. And why is this ministry, is there really a requirement for this ministry? And of course, the CFC, I'm not quite sure if you can see it on the screen. It's a bit bright in the area, but I read it out to you. CFC desires to rise in defense of the family, which is God's work. CFC wants to bring God's strength and light to those who are struggling to be truly Christian families in the modern world. As we all know, we are challenged with the situation in the world right now. That's why Couples for Christ is very focused on the strengthening the doctrine, the Catholic doctrine, and also focusing God, making God the center of our family. And how does CFC intend to work for a Christian renewal? CFC, there are lots of formation teachings and formation, and also some activities and events and conferences that will support our Christian renewal. First and foremost, it's all about the individual renewal, which is deepening our personal relationship with God. Meaning, as in my case, I was just a Sunday Catholic or a Sunday Christian, and outside or Monday to Saturday, I'm just a normal person. In here, when I joined Couples for Christ, I became to realize and focus more about having that personal and intimate relationship with Christ in a form of prayer and just communicating with Him, that every aspect of life, it's not only during the Mass, but also at the outside world, at work, and anything that we do, it is now focused on the relationship with God. Allow me to just a little bit of sharing that what happened yesterday. I am, by profession, I am in the IT technology and telecommunications, where there was a big problem with one of the customers, and I got stuck and I don't know what to do. That I rely on my personal strength and I forget God. And then I realized that I'll be sharing with you about this, and I prayed to God. And suddenly, within a few minutes, the big problem was solved. So it is a reflection of just having a focus with God on an individual basis. And being an individual, we go through a bigger institution or a family, which is strengthening the family life and marriage. There are lots of testimonies within Couples for Christ that I've heard through the members of CFC. One of the couples I just spoke recently, they were sharing with me about the family renewal in terms of their marriage. They face with challenges. They have some challenges and differences as married couples. They've been married for a little while, for 3 decades, but they still struggle. And before they have been renewed in going back to Christ, before putting Christ in the middle of their relationship, there were only 2 options in their marriage. It's either divorce, or it's even worse that I'm scared to use the word suicide. But now they're happily married. They have 4 children and a few of their grandchildren, and they now be able to reconcile the marriage through God, of course, through the Couples for Christ, where they focus themselves in relationship, their relationship focused with God. There's also one family or a few families where they thought that living together, harmony, peacefully, loving each other is enough for them to carry on with their lives without realizing that they haven't received the sacrament of matrimony. And there are about 4 or 5 couples who did their wedding. It's a joint wedding. When they joined Couples for Christ, that they now see the sacredness and the value of being to receive the sacrament of matrimony. So those are the little things, brothers and sisters, that has been happening in the community, and there are a lot more to share it with you. And church renewal, or what we call the parish renewal, or the society, because we believe in a family. This is a basic unit of society, and if each and every one of us in a parish or in a community believe in one thing, putting Christ, God, as a center of our lives, and then this place is going to be a heaven. So we believe also, going back to the family renewal, there is sometimes misunderstanding or confusion or lack of knowledge about the relationship of a husband and wife, and also with their children. That there's no university that we can go through, that this is my role as a husband, that's your role as a wife, that's your role as a children, this is my role as a parent. But in here, there are lots of teachings based on the Christian and Catholic doctrine, and also in the Bible, where we identify what is our relationship as a husband and wife, what is our relationship to our children, what is our relationship to God as a family. In all the programs and all the formation and the activities within the Couples for Christ, it is recognized by the Vatican as a private international association of the faithful of pontifical right. So what we do, or the program within the Couples for Christ, it's been examined, scrutinized by the Vatican, that we just cannot share it to other people without the approval of the Vatican. And also, it is very humbling to share it with you that the Diocese of Auckland is very much in support of the work of Couples for Christ, where Couples for Christ is also participating in doing marriage preparation program. That is one of the programs, marriage preparation program, when a married or engaged couple decided to get married in the church. In the preparation, we do the pre-Cana training as well, free of charge. All we need to give is love. In a community of Couples for Christ, in a community like this, without a vision, we don't know where we're going. That's why CFC has come up with this vision, which is sometimes impossible. When it was first created as a families in the Holy Spirit, renewing the face of the earth, when those 16 couples in the Philippines, in the city of Manila, with 100 million people, they say, how can we do this? With our human strength, we cannot do it. But we believe that it is not even for us to renew the face of the earth, but first and foremost to renew our families. And that's what we believe in. And I'd like to share with you a little bit about me and my wife, Vilma, who is here with me as well, when we joined Couples for Christ in New Zealand, here in Auckland. I was just a nominal Catholic, as I've mentioned earlier on, a Sunday Catholic, that as I drive away from the car park, from the church, that I was already fuming and getting angry at people, very slow in moving out their car and all that. And that is a typical Ronnie Alban. And through the years, I came to realize and be able to nourish and being able to be taught in the community how to have that relationship with Christ and others. Vilma and myself are blessed with 2 children. They were only 3 and 1 year old at that time, and now they are adults. Our son Hezron is now 23 years old, and Jihan, 20 years old, a nursing student. And they started from Kids for Christ and the Youth for Christ, and now my son is now moving into the Singles for Christ ministry. So this is what we do. The thing that we do in Couples for Christ is not only limited to individually, not only for couples, but this is a family organization or a movement within the Catholic Church. So my dear brothers and sisters, anyone can join Couples for Christ. And if you want to know more about CFC, we have the global website, which is couplesforchristglobal.org. At the moment, one of the activities of Couples for Christ is we make sure that the Eucharistic Convention schedule will fit in within the schedule of Couples for Christ. However, right now, it's also happening what we call the Oceania Conference of CFC being held in Sydney. So from yesterday until tomorrow, most of CFC members are in Sydney, participating in the Oceania Conference. And I'd like to share more about the conferences or the activities of Couples for Christ. Yearly, we have also what we call the national conferences, and not yearly, but every 2 years. A national conference, for example, is just conference like what we do in the Eucharistic Convention in New Zealand. And this year is Oceania region, where there are a few countries within the Oceania region like New Zealand, Australia, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Tonga, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands. In all those countries are now in Sydney doing the same thing what we do today. And also Couples for Christ, there is a theme, and each year, the theme for this year is about strong and faithful. So please feel free to visit our website. And also we have a local website in New Zealand, which is cfcnewzealand.org. And if you want to contact us, you can send us an email at info@cfcnewzealand.org. We are families in the Holy Spirit, renewing the face of the earth. Brothers and sisters, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for listening about what Couples for Christ is, and also I would like to take this opportunity to please approach any members of Couples for Christ if you see the members of the public wearing their CFC t-shirt to please approach them and talk to them. And we invite you also, if in our programs, in terms of our membership, of the entry membership to Couples for Christ is through the Christian Life program. And it's in the website about the program's information. And there are also retreats that's been happening within the community where married couples will have a weekend retreat. And there are lots of formation, teaching, where a new member will have a 4-year track that we call it, that during the first year of formation, we talk about the individual renewal, and then we go through the marriage. For married couples, we go through the marriage enrichment retreat program, and then we go to other teachings where the new members will now be led to become servant leaders within the community, and there are also formation tracks within that leadership program. So in Couples for Christ, there is a structured program for each member in their development, in their renewal as member of the Catholic Church. So once again, on behalf of Couples for Christ, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. And lastly, allow me once again to invite you and talk to us during this convention, during the weekend, and for more information and approach any members. For that, my dear brothers and sisters, thank you, and may God be praised. God bless us all. These are the children ages between 4 and 12 years old, and we have the junior kids and the senior kids where they have their weekend camp, they have their activities, and also their formation while their parents are having the activities. Likewise for the kids, they also have their formation and teachings. And as they grow up, when they become teenagers, they will go to the CFC Youth for Christ, and the Youth for Christ, their formation program as well, which involves a weekend entry camp for YFs in the work that we do in our community. So Couples for Christ and its family ministries, it is also called CFC in short, but we are Couples for Christ. It is a Catholic movement intended for the renewal and strengthening of Christian family life, especially for individuals, for married couples, for families, and for the community. And a little bit of history about Couples for Christ. It has started in the Philippines in 1981 when about 16 married couples decided to get together and have the value formation in terms of their Christian life, the married vocation as a family as well. And throughout the years, it has grown worldwide and globally. And now, Couples for Christ and its family ministries is present in 111 countries, where New Zealand is one of them. And in New Zealand, it was established in 1994, and we look forward to celebrating our 25th anniversary in 2019. And now we are present in 6 dioceses in New Zealand, from Auckland down to Dunedin. See, this is a live-in entry camp for all of them. And as they now go into adulthood, when they now finish university and they will go to the workforce, it is now the Singles for Christ. By the way, for the Youth for Christ is ages 13 to 21 until they go to the workforce. When they go to the workforce, they will go to the Singles for Christ, and again, there are some formation teachings involved in this ministry. So, throughout the history of Couples for Christ in New Zealand, those kids who started, there are about or more than 200 active members, including the youth or the family ministries members. CFC New Zealand, we are present from Dargaville to Invercargill and most cities in New Zealand. And Couples for Christ started with only couples, but now it has grown into family ministries, where we call the ministries from womb to tomb. The reason being is a womb to tomb is womb when we are conceived, when we are born. There's a CFC Kids for Christ